There are clearly good movies and clearly bad movies, but sometimes we want to climb the corporate ladder in America so bad that we are willing to humiliate, degrade, and just be awful to other people in order to find out what is everything in the middle. This is good, bad, good.
Oh, God.
God can't hear you, Barry.
Tim
can't hear you, Barry.
No, actually, I can hear him. Oh, my body's a prison. Oh, this is so painful.
You shall have your fight, but on my terms. In a world of complete darkness, the sighted are blind, but the blind can see.
Oh, God.
Welcome to my world.
Hey, everyone out there, and thank you for joining us this week on another episode of Good, Bad, Good. My name is Travis Orozco. I am a director and producer. With me, as always, is...
Brian Alsop, video editor extraordinaire.
And as you can see, Eagles fan. And
I'm Kai. I'm a writer and an actor. Sometimes I feel like I am.
This week we are doing 2007?
10, I think. 2010, dog.
Yeah, baby.
Dinner for Schmucks. Over the past week, I have so many times called this Death to Smoochie. Like, I'm like, I gotta read Death to Smoochie. I gotta watch Death to Smoochie.
Death to Smoochie.
But yes, we are doing Dinner for Schmucks. But before that, how are we doing? Brian, you go second because we clearly know how you're doing. Kai, how are you doing?
I'm all right. It's a hazy Monday.
Hazy Monday. Brian, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm doing real well. It's going to be a good 2 weeks for me. And then it's going to be a good few months after that because we're about to win a fucking Super Bowl again. So for those who don't know, we're recording this the day after the Eagles won the NFC Championship game. And I'm an Eagles fan, so life's good right now. I have no complaints.
Sorry, 49er fans out there.
Yeah,
they also, it was a really crappy situation for them. Not taking anything away from the Eagles, obviously. But for their third string quarterback to go down and then their fourth string quarterback to go down in the same game.
Yes, but they also tried to block our best defensive player with a backup tight end. So, yeah, your quarterback's going to get hurt when that happens.
Yeah.
Just saying.
How are you, Travis?
Good. I don't think we've talked about it yet, but currently in pre-production for my next short film.
Boop, boop.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What? I asked you if you could help out. You're going to do sound for me again.
You didn't tell me this. Is this... What?
We're shooting in Austin, Brian. I text you about it.
Yeah. I'm the AD. I'm flying over with him.
She's not lying about that.
I feel like you guys are fucking with me right now.
I mean, we're not fucking with you. There's a short film that Travis is producing that he wrote, and I'm the AD on, but it's not happening in Austin.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That just means I am very exhausted and going through creative depression. So
yeah, that. When I said hazy Monday, I'm like, can I get a fucking audition? My manager was like, auditions are like gold right now.
Oh, wow.
It's like very, very slow. It's like a really weird start to pilot season. And so I just sitting on my laurels.
That's why we had so many people that like were coming to my audition that like are dealing. I just feel like for like the pay rate that we're at, I usually don't deal with agents. It's usually like people that are SAG but like don't have theatrical agents.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I had agents like dealing with me where like I will set up their calendar like when you could talk on the phone. And I'm like, oh shoot, okay.
Yeah, because there's nothing else going on. Actors are hungry.
All this
We're
to say,
hungry.
all this to say, before we jump into verdicts, let's get a plot synopsis for
Dinner for Schmucks.
Dinner for Schmucks. Hey Google, what's the plot synopsis of the movie Dinner for Schmucks?
Here's the synopsis of Dinner for Schmucks. Tim, Paul Rudd, a rising executive, works for a boss who hosts a monthly event in which the guest who brings the biggest buffoon gets a career boost. Though he declines the invitation at first, he changes his mind when he meets Barry, Steve Carell, A man who builds dioramas using stuffed mice. The
Oh, okay. Well, that ended abruptly.
So I think what Google was trying to say there is that this movie should have ended a lot sooner than
Abruptly. Oh.
how long it was.
I fucking love
Um,
this movie.
Oh no, Brian.
Yes.
Yep.
This week's movie was brought to you by me. It was picked by me. Let's get verdicts first before I say exactly why. Verdicts. Okay.
You guys go first because
Okay.
I'm like
Brian.
smack in the middle.
This is a great bad movie. Not just a good bad movie, a great bad movie.
I will say it is a bad good movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's oof. God, this hurt. This is painful to say. I'm gonna say it's a good bad movie.
Okay.
It's painful to say because I did not enjoy watching this movie,
It's so funny.
but I also don't have a lot of issues with the script.
So why I picked this movie is the first time I watched it, I thought it was absolutely horrible. But I had also seen the original. So for those of you who don't know, this is based on a French film. I think this is a great segue into plot, synopsis, and script. But the original's a swift and breezy hour, 20 minutes. Like it sets up, it gets in there, it tells the jokes, it gets out.
I have to watch this movie now,
Yeah.
the original, because that's exactly
It's
what I
great.
wanted, and that was my issue with this. I
It's
was
really
like,
great.
why are we going off on all these other tangents and not actually getting to the dinner for schmucks until an hour and a half into the movie?
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. Brian, how do you feel about how this story
I mean, I don't
unfolds?
actually disagree with that. I mean, it's probably been like 8 to 10 years since I've seen this movie, but I was watching it, and at a certain point, I was like, oh shit, like a lot more happens before they get to the dinner than I remember. The thing is, I just fucking love Steve Carell, and I love Paul Rudd and Zach Galifianakis, so I was laughing my ass off. And what's his face? The guy that played the artist. I forget what the actor's name is.
Oh, the New Zealand, the Kiwi.
Yeah, the guy from Flight of the
I love
Conchords,
him.
right?
Yeah.
Oh.
This, I will tell you, I have never
Clement.
physically been attracted to him, but in this movie, when he's got the
He's got
long
the
hair and
animal
the little half
magnetism.
man bun, and that, I was like, ooh, yeah, you weird, sexy artist, man.
They
Let's
keep
do
saying
this.
he's got the animal magnetism.
He
they kept
does. He
saying
has
that.
it in this movie.
Yeah.
I fully agreed with that.
But yeah, I mean, there are definitely some slow parts. There are definitely some parts that I could do without. I feel like the idea, if somebody just presented me like what Google just read, it's like it's a pretty dumb idea, but it also kind of fits what Steve Carell did in like the mid to late 2000s. And I just I'm a sucker for just a dumb comedy. I love that kind of shit. So I still enjoyed it.
With how much happens in this movie, I would have I repeatedly or I want to turn this movie off so many times, like while watching it. But this is going into acting, which we could touch on later. But Steve Carell, kind of going off of what you're saying, Brian, Steve Carell is literally the only reason that I want to keep watching
He's
this.
so good.
Like, I don't care about anyone else
I
other
have
than...
the opposite opinion. Again, we can talk about this in the acting section. But
Yeah.
we'll get there.
talk
Let's
about that
set
in
up
acting.
this movie.
Yeah.
Like, let's give a little.
So,
Yeah.
Paul Rudd is a sixth-floor peasant at this financial company.
Mhm.
And him and...
Stock brokerage.
Yeah.
Haha.
Yeah,
Not actually.
stockbroker Tim.
Yeah.
He's trying to get to the 8th floor, 9th floor?
Seventh floor.
He's just going
It's
a
just
floor
one floor?
It's just one floor. dog.
He's,
Oh my
that's why
gosh.
it's close.
close.
He's almost made it.
He's
Anyways, he
close.
goes into a meeting, pitches this little
Also,
thing
you
in
find
the
out
meeting.
he makes $195,000, and I'm like, "You're doing pretty." And you drive a Porsche. I'm like, "Do you really need to be one floor up?"
And he's living in a
2010
s-
too, so
in
that
sick-
was a lot more
sick
money.
And he's
apartment,
living
too.
in like Hollywood, in like a penthouse.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But he could do even
It's
better.
the status.
He could be
you need the status
the
of the
man.
7th floor because the 6th floor smells like cabbage. You need to be on the
Correct.
7th floor.
Correct. That actually was one of my favorite lines of the whole movie was when the his assistant says that the floor
Kristen
smells
Shaw,
like
yeah.
cabbage, and then she's like, "Do you know how hard it is to go to the clubs and have people tell you smell like coleslaw? Do you know how hard it is to get laid when you smell like coleslaw? Well, not hard at all, but still, it just cracked me up.
So funny.
It's so funny because I actually really disliked that joke.
Oh, I
Really?
thought it was hilarious.
Did you dislike the
mainly
joke or
because-
the delivery?
The delivery,
her-
not the joke. Her delivery doesn't give it enough time.
So
she
her
rushes
breed
it.
of comedy is very specific.
Yeah.
And when I first saw her, because I first saw her on 30 Rock.
Mhm.
When I first saw her on 30 Rock, that's what I felt about her. Of like, she rushes through things and kind of says them in her own world. So much so that like you're not getting the punch to it. But the more that I have watched her, the more I actually find that to be the funnier part of
That she just rushes it.
that. But it's because she plays the kind of like
It's
self-absorbed
like her inner monologue too.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
it's an interesting
Hmm.
take on it that at first I totally understand what you're saying, but I the more I've watched her, I really appreciate her style of
Yeah.
odd
Not
timing.
just her though. I felt like a lot of the jokes like needed that little bit more of the
Because you're just a
punch
low
or-
Of the-
intellect
of the
person who
pregnant-
can't understand them.
pregnant pause,
Pause.
of like waiting for that punchline to hit as opposed to just like rushing through it. That's completely excluding the jokes that were just stupid, downright stupid to begin with, or like
I mean, they
that
were
were
all
so
stupid.
slapstick that.
There,
But no, there's some good stuff in here. Like
there is.
there-
There is some
there-
good,
like-
there's some good stuff in here. I did not think the physical comedy in this movie was good at all.
Oh my gosh,
It was really bad, but
thought it
that's
was
all sort
terrible.
of technical stuff. So let's
Yeah.
finish setting this up
Yeah,
by okay. So he
Is
go.
there-
Sorry,
just
Brian.
real quick on that scene that you were talking about where they're talking about cabbage. I spent like 20 minutes watching bloopers and outtakes after we finished watching this movie. And there are so many riffs with Paul Rudd and Kristen Shaw talking about like other things that suck about the 7th floor, the 6th floor. They're like, it smells like semen. There's just semen there's all these jokes that were fucking hilarious. You could tell like a lot of it was definitely improv.
So, okay, I actually wondered and felt like this was the case that by the end of the movie, I was like, I think a lot of this was improv,
Mhm.
which is why it's as long as it is, because they were
Yeah.
like, we got to keep this in. This shit's gold. It's really funny. But I also think that that's why this movie failed to be an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, right? It's like
Yeah.
a 40%
it's
or
a
something.
45.
Because
Yeah.
they were just not it all of the improv stuff was funny in and of itself. Each like little bit could be a scene, but it was not staying on task with like our plot and the point of the movie. So the pacing was off.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't care about any of that.
So Paul Rudd, in an attempt to get to the 7th floor and be one of the like top dudes, in a meeting gives a pitch, and it's a pitch about this European, this guy from Switzerland who has all this money and nowhere to put it. So anyway, so he gets the attention of the boss by pitching this thing. The boss then invites him to this dinner for schmucks, which is basically a dinner where all of his little minions that work on the 7th floor with him, they all find the biggest idiot, someone with some crazy obscure talent who's going to come in and just entertain them for the night, but they're sort of making fun of these people. So he invites Paul Rudd to come to this and bring an idiot. He has to bring a +1. Paul Rudd is also trying to wife up his girlfriend who keeps telling him no. She tells him not to go to this dinner because that's a terrible thing. And then there's this whole other
Terrible thing because it's terrible to treat humans like that.
Yes.
Not like a terrible idea to.
Right. Terrible to like just bring someone to dinner to make fun of them.
Yeah.
And there's this whole other side plot about their relationship that just goes on and on and on and on and on and on.
I mean,
done
essentially,
explaining. Yeah, take over
so
for a
then
second.
he's driving down Sunset, and then he makes a right in West Hollywood, and then suddenly he's in Westwood somehow. And then he hits Paul T. Goldman as he's crossing the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's funny.
Side
actually.
note,
The
in this
end-
movie, I'm like, holy crap, that is Paul T. Goldman.
Well, I
Uh.
think anything that Steve Carell plays, because everyone was
yeah.
but
like,
this in
it's-
particular, this role,
Really?
completely unaware of like social
Norms, graces.
norms or like anything like
Yeah.
that. and just a lot of his actions are really terrible. Like when you look at them, like he does really bad things as well.
That was the problem that I had with this movie, and I wasn't sure if it was the writing or the way that it was played by Steve Carell, but I hated him. So I didn't feel bad if he was the invited to the Dinner for Schmucks, and I hated every time what's his name? Tim. I hated every time that Tim apologizes to him. I'm like, what are you doing?
He's ruining your life.
Apologizing to you. Like, what? I was not. Yeah. I did not get it.
It was literally, Amanda watched it with me, and I told her, I was like, this is literally how I felt during Paul T. Goldman.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're trying to build sympathy for a character that I think is doing terrible things, and I don't care for them.
Yeah.
Brian, how'd you feel about this?
I mean, I don't disagree. There's a lot of moments where Steve Carell's character Barry does things, and you're like almost, it almost makes you uncomfortable to watch the things that he's doing, but I also find them hilarious at the same time. So that's that's why I just keep coming back to why I like this movie. Is I just find a lot of things hilarious. But yeah, he's an absolute. I don't think I don't know that I would say I don't think he's like a bad person. I just think he's so dumb that he doesn't know any better. Like I don't think he's actively
super aloof.
Yeah, like I don't think he's actively trying to like go and ruin people's lives or mess things up for people. I just think he's that dumb and naive and ignorant and whatever other words you want to use to describe him, that he just doesn't know any better. Like he just has no idea that he's doing these awful things.
I agree with you, other than I don't agree with you.
I will say, I think the issue for me is it's not grounded. Like you can watch people. Okay, here is one of my favorite, because this is a buddy comedy. Here's one of my favorite buddy comedies that I think does a really, really good job at making this character that you just feel like is fucking up the other person's life. You still feel bad for him, and he really does feel like a schmuck. But like the guy that's down on his luck, and you can't figure out is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh yeah.
John Candy plays the biggest loser in a sense, but with the heart of gold. And so you're like, yes, he is fucking your shit up left and right, but I still really care about this person.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, I did not feel that way, because I don't think for me Steve Carell was grounded enough or had enough of a heart of gold sense.
But
there was no like.
I feel like they didn't try to give him that either, though. Like
right, which is part of my issue.
Well, sure, that's fair. But like, I feel like comparing it to Planes, Trains, and
I'm not.
I feel like I mixed them up.
Yeah, they're not. They're definitely not in the same category.
Yeah.
I just meant that, like, I think this character for me was not like the lovable guy that I could go on the ride with and be like, oh, it's okay, he's redeemed, because he did not have the. I don't know. He just. It was like. It was bad.
Yeah, and I think that's because some of his actions it's hard to chalk them up to like he's an idiot. Like a lot of his actions in regards to Julie and the relationship are like, you're not like what you're doing is not something of an idiot. Like inviting Darla over and then like
things that like
printing out the picture of her butt. Like it's just like not like, I don't think it.
No, there are some things that just felt disconnected to me, and you're right. That was kind of one of the first things that like. Yeah, he's messaging with this woman, Darla, and she says, "Are you touching yourself?" And he like, it was kind of funny, but he has his hand over his mouth, and then he's like, "Yes," right? But it's like, do you not know what she's inferring there? But then later they call back to like maybe he really does not understand that stuff because he was searching for his wife's clit, which that part actually did crack me up. See, this is what I wanted. The parts where I was actually laughing was the Dinner for Schmucks, but like I wasn't laughing prior
Speaking
to
of
that.
improv. There is so much good stuff on YouTube of Zach Galifianakis and Steve Carell going back and forth from that dinner scene. fucking hilarious. Like, honestly, some of it was even funnier than what was in the movie. The one part that was
I'm sure
actually
it probably was.
fuck you. I don't know why I'm taking that personally. The one part that was hilarious. I don't remember exactly what Zach Galifianakis says, but he says something, and then he stops and kind of looks off to the side, and he goes, "That was the worst fucking joke I've ever told in my entire life." It was great. It was very funny.
In the matter of 36 hours, this idiot that completely screws up another person's life.
I mean, multiple people's lives, really, because it was
Yeah.
Tim, whatever his girlfriend's name is, although
Julie.
like Julie. You could argue that he screwed up the
Darla.
artists. Darla, yeah, although Darla's kind of fucked up in her own right, but
And actually, maybe he did something good for Darla, you know, because she got to walk away with a really expensive looking ring.
oh, that's true.
Yeah.
You know,
That's true. Which
Yeah.
which she basically just stole the ring, and
Yeah.
Tim's just like, okay, fine.
Well,
that shows you how much
technically-
money he's making.
But also, technically, she, like, if they were to go
And
to
beat the
court over
crap
it,
out
she
of
could
his
be like,
car.
I have, like, camera proof that he gave it to me. He proposed to me in this restaurant, and I just
This is
accepted
true.
it.
Under duress.
under
True.
duress.
Under
That'd
duress.
be a tough sell, though.
Well, that too, the whole thing with Darla. There was so much of this that I was like, what's the point? Why does that need
Mhm.
to be in the movie? Doesn't take
I-
out Darla completely. I
The
don't even,
Yeah.
I didn't
entire
find it
Darla
was
I mean,
funny.
you could take out the
I
artist,
didn't-
whatever his name was, too. You don't really need that either.
No, you don't. He at least was funny to me.
Yes,
I think
agreed.
I wanted to not go
Listen,
down the
Kieran,
Darla
that's
rabbit
what his
hole because
name
I just
was.
didn't find it to be funny.
I mean, I think I feel like sometimes when people write, they forget how real people act or like act with one another. But like the tension of your girlfriend that you're trying to get to marry telling you like don't do this thing and then he's still gonna do it is enough in a relationship. Like you don't need to like then throw in like, is she cheating? Is he cheating? Who is this? Who is that? But it's like,
Also, because it has nothing to do with the main
yeah,
point of
Yeah.
the story or the like it's not even a you know, sometimes the B plot of a story like or it should be the like same as the A plot of the story, but like low key we're talking about the same thing somehow. But like the A plot of the story is don't be a dick to people less unfortunate than you, right?
less unfortunate.
Less fortunate.
Less fortunate than you, right? Yeah, and then the B plot of the story is like don't cheat. Like there's all sorts of other things going on. None of it filters into the same
Communicate.
A plot. Maybe, yeah.
One of my biggest pet peeves
Communication
in
is
movies.
key.
One of my biggest pet peeves in movies is when a whole conflict is centered around like the solution is just if two people just like actually talked.
Yep.
And I'm like, you can't keep this going for an hour
Yeah.
and 45 minutes because
Yeah.
like people would just talk
Yeah.
at this point. Like they would have just communicated.
Yeah. 100%.
And it just drives me crazy because in the end, I think it makes like the person who was the biggest idiot in this movie was Tim.
Mhm.
Like he just goes along with this buffoon for 36 hours and like doesn't.
Lets him sleep on his
Yeah.
couch, which
Yeah.
also didn't make sense. He's like, "Oh, I left my keys at your house."
I didn't
Okay,
get
let's
that.
go get your keys and drive you the fuck home.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And the whole thing with like, stay on my couch. Okay. Like that, it was that. I was like, what? I didn't understand the parameters of the quote unquote schmuck that Steve Carell is,
Mhm.
right? Like, I didn't understand what the rules of his idiocracy were. Do you know what I mean? Like
What do you
if
mean?
you're taking on a character and you're talking with the director or you're reading the script and you're like, okay, who is this guy? How am I an idiot? There's a lot of different ways to be an idiot. But like, how is this guy an idiot? So there's like, okay, he's like a child. That's the stuff where he's like, sit on the chair, can't do anything.
And then he picks up the chair and like walks with it. Yeah.
Maybe that's the like doesn't understand sex stuff. I don't know. Is that the parameters of his idiocracy? Do you guys understand what
Yeah.
I'm saying by
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I felt like there were so many things happening with Steve Carell that I was like, what how is this what is his unique individual idiotness?
Yeah.
You know? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Because then you can ground into that, and that becomes really funny.
Yeah.
Because then you're working out of that. And if it's like this guy is a child, so that's like Adam Sandler, I think, plays idiots to the best of his ability in a great way
As a man,
because
but
they're
he's
very
just a man
specific.
child.
Well, yeah, but they're like, but he knows that so well, and like
Yeah.
that's how he's gonna play an idiot. Steve Carell's thing, I guess, is like the bumbling. He just doesn't like know social cues. I don't know.
kind of.
Like doesn't. What,
Yeah,
how do
I mean,
you
I think like even
describe
if you
it?
look at like his 40-year-old virgin, like he doesn't know some social cues, but he's also just kind of like a man child in a way, which I think his character was.
He's
in
a
this.
he's a
Would you say
child.
he doesn't know social cues though?
That's
in
the-
40-year-old version?
That's the thing.
Not
I
to the
can't
level
figure
of
out.
this movie, but to a certain extent, yeah, I think so.
Well, I don't think he's ever socially awkward in that movie. He's just awkward in the realms of sex, which I think is different. Like someone could be a normal everyday person that you interact with at work and completely seem fine, but then when he gets in a bedroom with a woman, he's
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Even his interactions with his coworkers in the 40-year-old virgin, like they know that he's kind of awkward. Like they kind of rip into him and rape him a
Yeah,
little
I
bit.
guess Seth Rogen's character thinks that he's a serial killer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Well, and
like
there's
that, yeah.
the child thing of like he collects all these boxed
The toys, or whatever,
collectors
yeah.
toys, and then
Action figures.
action figures,
Yeah.
and then in this movie, you could maybe say that the taxidermy of the mice, which actually, is that in the first movie? By the way, no, I liked that idea. I thought that was super creative.
My favorite
the
line from
fact
this whole
that-
movie is because of the mouse, or because of the mice. When he's giving his mouse presentation and he says, Vincent van Gogh, people told him that he can't paint because you don't have an ear. And he said, I can't hear you.
Yeah, yeah.
That whole
was
speech
pretty
I
good.
thought was hilarious about dreaming or whatever it was.
Yeah, well, I thought but like that could be considered childlike, right? Like those are his childlike toys.
I get
was
what you're
trying to
saying.
think.
Trying to bridge the gap between 40-year-old virgin and
or no, I was
connect it.
just trying to figure out the rules of his idiotness
I also think
for this specific character so that I could I don't know.
I think the
understand it.
problem is you're trying to look and think too deeply into a movie that is about as
That's
deep as a
just
kiddie pool.
dumb.
Please,
Yeah.
people, don't listen to Brian. Always think deeply about the movies that you're watching.
Deep.
Always.
Deep. No, I could totally see that. I mean, let me tell you, Jay Roach is the writer, director, producer of this, and like the Austin Power movies are all Jay Roach, and they
Yeah.
are some of my favorite dumb movies ever. But they're very character oriented. And my favorite parts of this movie were the characters. Like I was telling Travis before he came on, my favorite character of the movie was the blind
Oh, the fencer?
jouster, or not fencer.
Yeah.
Chris
Thank you.
Dowd.
Yeah, so
Oh my God,
fucking good.
so funny.
That part cracked me up, and that
So
was
funny.
it. The Dinner for Schmucks was the funny part because we were watching all these characters interact.
Yeah.
I
Octavia
didn't think
Spencer
I-
was so good in that scene.
Oh my god!
It's funny that you say that
over
because
the lobster, and then
Yeah.
the one douchebag still eats it afterwards.
Brian
He's like,
Livingston.
"Nah,
I
don't
love
care."
Brian Livingston. Yeah.
it's funny that you say that a lot of dumb movies are character based, but it's like it's true. You think about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You think about Dumb and Dumber. They're like,
I'm sorry, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is not the dumb
sorry.
sort of
I was
movie that
I
we're
was just thinking
talking
about the
I'm
character
just
that you're saying.
clarifying.
Yeah.
Clarifying.
And my problem with this movie, or one of the other problems, and this could be going into acting, but I still think it has to do with story and how they structured it. There wasn't a character that I actually liked.
Also, though, this isn't a character-based... I mean, this tried to be a character-based film, but then our main person is not the character. He's the straight man. And Paul Rudd is good. I like Paul Rudd. But he's a wet blanket. What am I trying to say? He's he really is the
He's
straight
mayonnaise.
man.
Yeah,
And so, he's what?
mayonnaise. Just like,
Mayonnaise.
yeah.
Ugh.
He's mayonnaise. Wet blanket was not the good description. He's mayonnaise.
Yeah.
He's Miracle Whip,
Yeah.
perhaps. That is Paul Rudd. Yes. So, like, whereas in Austin Powers, your main character is Austin Powers. So, like, it doesn't really matter how dumb the plot is because we're just watching this guy in his bizarreness the whole time. Whereas, yeah. You know,
Well,
am I
the problem is they try to make it a character-based film, a character-based comedic film.
right?
When the actual comedy it's a situational comedy.
Right.
Like you have this outlandish thing happening, event happening, which in and of itself is hilarious. And that's what I know I'm the only one of the three of us that have seen the original, but that's what the original does. Like it leans into the comedy of the situation.
Yes.
And not like try to bring you into this like let's care about this character, but also introduce you to 9 other people that like you are supposed to also kind of care about and feel sympathy for, but like you don't need that because the situation is hilarious in and of itself.
I feel like we've talked about plot as well
let's
as
go into
some of the acting, but we can keep going. Can just the one that I could not, Darla, whoever the actress that played Darla, it was so weird to me. It's not that I didn't like her.
She was also 8 feet tall.
I did, or I
Dude,
did.
she
I
was
was just
tall,
like, what?
man.
It was.
Yeah,
She was very tall. Yeah,
she was like the natives in Avatar. Like she was like
tall lady.
She was tall.
Yeah,
Let's see.
and had no
Lucy
eyebrows.
Punch.
But
she's British.
But
would not have guessed that.
It's not just that she's tall. She's tall, and then next to Steve Carell and Paul Rudd, who are probably average height, like 5'9", 5'10".
Right.
So it's like she's probably like model 6'2" height.
And the like physical shit with her and Steve Carell was not funny. And
are we still
lasted
saving
so
physical comedy
long.
for technical?
Oh, I thought that.
I don't know.
I thought that was funny.
I don't know, man. Yeah, maybe. Sure, maybe. Okay,
But-
I'll jump off of that then.
Spoiler for the rest of the episode. I agree with Kai. And Brian's wrong.
Fuck you guys.
I didn't say you were wrong.
Oh, fuck you, Travis.
Thank you.
Sorry, because he started out by saying he agrees with you, so then I just lumped you guys together.
You lumped us. But for the most part, like I love so many of the actors that are in this.
There's a lot of really
movie.
good actors in this, actually. Like a lot of well-known people. You got Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, Zach Galifianakis, Jermaine Clement, Bruce Greenwood, who, if you don't know the name, everybody would probably recognize him. Ron Livingston, Kristen Shaw, Andrea Savage, Nick Kroll. Randall Park had a little character. He's much more well-known now than he was 12 years ago. Chris O'Dowd, Jeff Dunham. I forgot Jeff Dunham was in this. Octavia Spencer, who's like a legit actress, is playing like a weird-ass role, which I kind of loved seeing her in. So many people in this movie.
Yeah, there were a couple people though that are really funny, like Nick Kroll, that I don't feel like were used.
No, he
right?
was only in
Like,
like
Nick
3
Kroll's
scenes.
Barely
But I feel like
used.
at this time, Nick Kroll wasn't Nick Kroll.
And I wondered
Yeah.
that too. Yeah, actually.
Agreed.
And PJ Byrne, he is like, I love him. I
Wait,
think
which
of
one
him
is
in
he?
Wolf of Wall Street.
He's
got
always
glasses.
just playing
Yes,
the
yes,
financial
yes.
bro.
He
or, like,
does. He
financial
does.
guy.
But he's funny as the financial bro, and they didn't really use him much.
Yeah, I do like
yeah,
that
they
guy.
didn't use Randall Park at all. Like they were in it,
Well,
but
Randall Park was like nobody. I don't think anybody really knew who he was.
really knew
like
who he
12
was
years
either.
ago.
Yeah.
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 I feel like I didn't know who Randall Park was until like the last maybe 3 or 4 years or something like that.
The French actress.
Randall Park, I didn't know till Veep.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
And then
yeah.
rewatching The Office, I'm like,
that's
oh shoot,
actually
Randall
where
Park was in The Office? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Stephanie Sozak, I think is how you say her last name. She's the French actress that played Julie. Is she
Oh,
in
yeah.
the first French film?
No, like they don't really waste a lot of time with anyone's relationships in that. It's just this.
Got it.
And it's
I-
also not, it's all in the original, it's not a corporate thing. Like they make this is American corporate ladder thing,
Right.
which is kind of what I was getting at in my intro of like, it's strictly an American thing to make this about like getting up on someone. Like in the French one, it's literally just people who do this on the regular.
On the
Like,
regular.
oh,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
ran into Kai. I'm going to bring her to Brian's place this weekend.
Whoa!
You know what I mean?
Did you just call Kai an idiot?
He did.
I heard
No,
that.
I
and I got your
didn't.
back.
I didn't.
Kai, I
I
got your
used
back.
both of your.
Depending on what drug you put me on, I could be an idiot at a party.
I mean,
you know?
that's fair. That's fair.
But so Stephanie Sozak, though, or so
According to IMDb, it's
Sostak?
pronounced Showstack.
Thank you, Showstack. What were our
It's so
thoughts
funny.
on her?
Right now, IMDb has Nick Kroll's face on Stephanie.
Oh,
What?
that's not what is popping up for me.
Yeah,
Oh,
me
as
either.
Julie.
Yeah.
Nick Kroll is Julie. But what were our thoughts on
It
her?
fixed it. I just refreshed it. It was just like a momentary glitch.
I didn't
So
really
funny.
believe her and Paul Rudd's compatibility or passion.
Well, clearly she doesn't want to
I-
marry him, so there was no passion in the relationship.
I mean, by the
This is
end of
also
it,
very
she
true.
says she does.
Yeah.
By the
mean,
end
yeah.
of it, she's willing to go for Paul Rudd over sexy pants and lose her gallery opening.
He was not wearing
Yeah.
pants.
Sexy
Shell.
bottom half. What did you say?
Shell. Because he's wearing like a shell in his front.
Oh, wait, when he comes in at the end, he's wearing pants.
You mean
When
what,
does he
that
come in
scene
at
at the
that?
end in their apartment? Yeah, he's wearing pants.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's wearing pants.
Oh,
That's why I was
oh,
confused
that-
as to what you
that
were talking
scene.
about. Oh, you're thinking of when he was about to mate with
Yeah,
the
with
two
the two-
ladies in
yeah.
paint.
Which
in
I
body
thought
paint.
was like the best scene for you. Or, like I thought that's what you were getting at. Like that scene.
Oh, I mean, he was just funny to watch in all of them.
Yeah.
It was the hair. I'm gonna be honest. Sorry, Travis.
Well documented.
Sorry,
Got it.
Travis.
Okay.
Well documented.
So we all thought it was a rather good cast.
So
with the exception of, I don't think I was a fan of the Stephanie, and it was a strange
Mix.
mix together. The chemistry was off because, like as we've said, I like Paul Rudd. I love a lot of stuff. And Steve Carell, not a big Office fan in the beginning, but then I watched it later and I was like, oh my God, I fucking love this. But so the first couple of things that I saw Steve Carell in was like him as a serious actor. And I think he's a fucking brilliant dramatic actor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I watch him in comedy, it's not as much my. I would rather watch Steve Carell do drama, which is funny because he like is known for comedy.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you again. Like I think outside of The Office, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and
I like the movie The 40-Year-Old Virgin, but I'm not a huge fan of Steve Carell in it.
Guys are fucking crazy.
so much of that is situational as well.
Yeah,
Like it's funny because he like is
right.
bleeding from his nipple, or he's
Right.
like driving with a drunk
Right.
chick that just
Right.
threw
And he
up on
does
him.
make a really good face, or like where his eyes just like bulge out of his head.
He was good in Bruce Almighty.
Yeah.
Oh, he plays the co-anchor, right?
Yeah, that-
And Anchorman. So I am a huge fan of Steve Carell's comedy. I mean, probably as you could have guessed from what I've been saying about this movie. I would agree with you about Julie and Tim. They just kind of seem forced together. But I do kind of like the way that Paul Rudd and Steve Carell play off each other. And like they were in 40-Year-Old Virgin together. So like they've acted in other things. So like I felt like their scenes, like their chemistry, I liked. I will say, so as I said, I love Steve Carell's comedy, and like that's kind of what he was known for such a long time. But it's been such a long time since I've seen him in one of those roles, because like it's either The Morning Show or I don't know if you guys watched that show, The Patient, that he was just in recently. But like you said, he's a fantastic
in The
serious
Patient.
actor.
Yeah.
So it was kind of almost strange for me to go back and watch him as that kind of weirdo doofus, almost annoying type of character. But then I also remembered while I was watching it how much I do like him in those roles. It's just weird. It's like it is kind of funny when you think about, like, he was known for playing like some of the dumbest characters,
Yeah.
and now he's just like actually legit fantastic serious actor.
Yeah, it's a credit to his skills. I got to watch.
He was in Space Force. That was the last comedic
Space
thing.
Force. Oh, that's
Which is
right.
still going.
Oh,
Right,
I did
I
not.
do like that.
I did not like
could
that.
not
But
get
that's like-
through Space
Brian,
Force.
do you
I
just
got
like anything that he
excited for
does?
that
Like,
movie,
wait.
show.
Genuine question. Is there anything that you don't like that he is in?
I'd have to go through his filmography. I'll look through his filmography. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm probably also not remembering everything.
The amazing.
I got to watch him and Timothy Chalamet do a scene in front of me because I was featured background. They needed someone who actually had barista skills, like I could
for
pull a
My
shot
Boy, or
for Beautiful
The
Boy.
The beautiful boy.
Yeah, they shot. It was supposed to be a cafe in San Francisco, but it was shot in Long Beach. And
You're in that
or no,
cafe?
I'm the barista in the background, but they don't really, and like they had me pulling shots. They don't really use it in the movie. But what was the cool part of that? Because it was like, whatever, it's a featured background role. But the cool part about that was like, I was standing literally this far away from the two of them
That's
doing
cool.
this scene. It was like, fuck the like $400 whatever I made for the day. It was like, here's a master class in acting happening in front of me. So that was really cool.
Can you see yourself in it?
I think for a split second.
Oh wow.
You could.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
How exciting.
I was gonna say The Incredible Burt Wonderstone is a movie that it's with him and Jim Carrey and
Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi.
Oh, I love Steve Buscemi.
Which it might actually be another good comedy
And
for this.
Gandolfini's in that too, actually.
For this podcast, because Brian loves it, and you and I know would not like it.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm looking through his filmography. Out of all the movies that he's been in that I've seen, that's the one that I probably don't like. Maybe Get Smart was kind of dumb.
I wasn't a huge fan
okay.
of Battle of the Sexes. I thought it was slow and quite slow.
Which one was Battle of the Sexes?
But I
don't know
thought
if
he
saw
was
that.
great in it.
But that wasn't comedy like he.
No, yeah.
Despicable Me is amazing. Love Despicable.
Does that even count though? It's like an
Despicable Me.
animated movie.
Yeah,
so.
what are you talking about? He's Groot.
Oh, what voice?
Yeah, I mean,
actors
I
aren't
mean,
real actors, Brian.
No.
Yeah,
but I'm saying like
Brian.
it's different doing a voiceover than whatever. Screw you guys.
Yeah, it's a completely different talent that if you can nail both is like.
It's like Wazing. Should
Yeah.
we move on to technical?
Off the top, we could talk about the physical comedy and how it just did not make any sense for this movie.
It also just didn't work. If it works,
I
go
liked
for
it.
it.
What did you like about that?
I like the physical comedy in the dinner scene, like dude's
When it's a part of,
finger
like-
getting chopped off. Yes,
When it's a part of like the bit that they're doing.
right.
But Brian, what did
kind
you
of
like
sense does
about
it make?
that just god awful apartment scene where they're like knocking things over and throwing bottles of wine suddenly, and then
I don't know.
and,
For me,
and then
I
it,
just
it cuts to Paul Rudd in the bedroom going, "Oh no." Oh, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
the
I
biggest issue I had
can't.
with that scene is that she throws like a shoe or a bottle and shatters his glass shelves, and then it like is pretty much cleaned up like almost immediately. You don't really see any of the mess. That bothered me more than the physical comedy.
Yes,
the continuity
when they come
errors.
back later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like he was faking his death or something like that. And there's like the bottle of wine that looks like blood by his head is just gone. Those kind of things bother me, the physical comedy. I don't know. For me, I found it funny that she's like trying to like role play or whatever, but Steve Carell is just so dumb that he's like, he's like egging her on in a way. I don't know. I just
Or like
found
she starts slapping her own ass, and then he
Yeah.
gets up and starts jumping around and slapping
I
his
thought that
ass.
was
That was the
hilarious.
only
was-
bit of that I thought was funny.
I thought that whole thing was just like I could erase this from my memory and I would be completely fine.
Yeah.
That's
But
fair.
that also goes back to like the whole Darla
Why is
plot
she in
line
the
didn't
right?
need to be there to begin
right.
with. But yeah, that is such a weird turn in the comedy. Like, I don't think there's any other physical comedy outside of the dinner scene in the rest of the whole film. Like, it's this weird
She
Three
beats the crap
Stooges
out of her
slapstick
yeah,
comedy
right.
that takes place for one scene and then doesn't really happen.
and
again.
is slow and long and has no like. If we understood why it was happening, but like that, and then she just leaves afterwards. Like, what did Darla come there for, or come there to do? Because she literally he
'Cause
plays
she
dead,
thought she
and
was
then she's
gonna
like,
bone.
"Okay, bye, Tim."
Well, she came
See
because
you
she thought she
later.
was texting with Tim, so she thought she was going to be boning Tim. But then
Yes,
when
but
everything
she
went
But
didn't
then
down,
get
she
she
that.
gave
leaves.
up.
But then she leaves with the phone in her pants.
What? No, the phone in the pants happens later.
It
No,
does?
it was
Yeah.
it was
No,
it was that scene. I think
Oh,
it's that scene.
it was before her and Steve Carell started like throwing shit at each
oh,
other.
start. But he has.
Oh, it
right,
does-
yeah,
it
yeah.
is?
Yes, yeah. And
Yeah,
So
then
then
I
does
think
she
so.
take it out?
I don't know.
I don't.
It's a
I mean, he
great
obviously
question.
gets his phone
Whose
back
phone
somehow.
is
So
he
she must
on
have.
in the bedroom?
That's
like a house phone, right?
Yes, because
Yeah,
it was
remember when people used to
2010,
have
so they still had
landlines?
those.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that whole well then she's like, "Bye Tim, I'll call you." But it's like Darla didn't get what she came there for. And if she thinks dude's dead on the ground or whatever, why not then break the door open to Tim's room if that's what you came there for and you're this psycho. But they knew that they didn't need that because it's not really a part of the plot. So instead, let's have her do this funny, weird bit with Steve Carell.
Yeah,
and
I
then,
guess the question is like, what was the purpose for that scene?
or
It's like,
Darla.
well, yeah, of course, yes.
I guess,
we could keep saying
yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
that scene achieved nothing.
I guess the purpose for Darla, is just to keep Julie away, because then Paul
I guess
Rudd
it's
can be
another
like,
way.
oh,
Yeah, it's another way to get
she's-
Julie mad at him.
yeah, right. That's what I mean. Oh, now she's gonna cheat on me with this artist man because she thinks I'm cheating on her with Darla.
You know what didn't make
Yeah.
sense to me, and I guess this is
A lot of this movie.
well, I mean, yeah, this is I guess more of a plot thing, but he's obviously proposed a couple times and she has said no. But then when he goes to her gallery and they're outside and she says, "I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I'm just not sure about this next step." Well, I mean,
Just
Kinda
need a
what's-
little time.
but also kind of like, what's the difference? Like, you say you love him and you want to spend the rest of your life with him. I don't understand why you wouldn't just say yes.
It's a good question. But I think they threw that in there for us because then it's like, oh, he thinks that maybe the reason she's not saying yes is because he has not made it to the 7th floor yet, which he kind of brings back around at the
Yeah,
end.
which he says
But
later.
again,
yeah,
it was just
yeah.
kind of a stupid, because yeah, you're right. Why?
Yeah, like, and it's one thing, like, you would imagine they would have discussed this at some point, but like, not everybody wants to get married, and that's totally fine. But like, you could just say that, like, I love you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, but like, I don't want to do like a marriage or whatever. And then he's not going to buy a ring and propose multiple times.
And in a 2010 comedy, people would not have understood that. We've come a long way in the
Can you
last
think of any
13
comedy
years.
that even today that is like, yeah, we're together, but we're not going to get married? I feel like I could think of some movies, but then in the end, they end up like getting past it. I'm like, yeah, we should get married.
We should get married. Yeah. Right. Like,
It's like
is
the
this
old
a
Shakespearean, like, a
rom-com,
comedy
or
needs
is
to
this
end
a
in a
buddy
wedding?
comedy, or is this a situational comedy, or is this a character? What are we? What are we? What are you?
Tell you
Dinner
what,
for
I feel like that guy
Schmucks?
needs
What
to have
are
her
you?
sign a prenup, though. That's for sure. As wishy-washy as she is, he needs a prenup. He's making
Prenuptial
200K.
agreement.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't
He
know
is
what that
making
little song
200K
and
and
dance
she's
was,
just-
but I enjoyed it.
That was Liar Liar Jim Carrey when he's like,
Oh, I couldn't really hear what you were saying.
prenuptial agreement.
Oh,
At the-
Gotta
okay.
roowatch that movie.
That's a
That's a
Haven't seen
good,
that
good
in a
You
long
gotta
movie.
talk about good movies.
That's a good movie.
The pen is blue.
The
He
You
went
want-
on a run in the
pen is
90s.
blue.
Yeah, you want to talk
He
about
went
good
on
physical
such
comedy.
a run.
Jim Carrey.
Any other technical?
The editing was all over the place
Yeah.
for me with this movie.
Yeah.
All over the place, especially in the. But I think
I think
that's
it's because
not
so
what
much
we're-
is improv, and it's
improv.
like, how the hell
that's
do
not
I
what
even
this
make
movie
this
is
scene?
about. It's
Like, do we just do a wide and make this
well,
SNL?
right? Because and it
Yeah.
makes sense for Brian when you were saying that you were watching all the outtakes on YouTube. Because the one
Yeah.
specific scene that I like caught it and was like, what? Was when Steve Carell and Zach Galifianakis are at the dinner going back
Mhm.
and forth, and it keeps cutting.
Yeah.
It was like he's over here, the other. It was bizarre. It totally threw my brain.
It's
off.
all over the place, but it's almost impossible to cut something without having those issues when it's just straight improv like that. It's
Yeah.
just almost
Yeah.
impossible. And I think in a scene like that, especially with those type of actors, you kind of know that they're known for and good at improv. So like for me, like I just kind of almost ignore the editing in that sense,
Yeah, and if you're laughing hard enough, then it shouldn't matter. The issue was
which I was.
I was not laughing hard enough. Yeah. I want, you know what I want to, oh yeah, go ahead. You go.
I was
You
just
go.
going to say, so I think we're going to wrap up technical, but go for it.
I was just, yeah, let's wrap up technical wrapped. I just
Oh.
want to know what was your favorite funny, Go, Brian.
So I
Brian
have
has
one
it.
other technical thing. Before we got on, or maybe this is when we were on already. I remember we were talking about how you guys had like no notes and I only had 2 notes. They were both about the intro song "Fool on the Hill" by the Beatles, which plays during the opening credits, which I thought was the perfect song choice for that intro.
I actually liked that too.
And
I
also
remember
like kind of
thinking that.
setting up the character, Steve Carell's character as well.
But I do
See,
think
I had
that
issues
that
with the
whole
intro and
was too
outro.
long.
What?
The intro was too long, but I thought I liked seeing all those little scenes too, though.
Yeah.
I had issues with the intro and outro because it's like this heartwarming thing. It's just, he's a terrible person.
You know what? I have.
He's a
What'd you
terrible
say?
person.
Oh yeah,
He's a terrible person. So it's like,
I have issues with you, Travis.
I know you do. That's why you're on this podcast. And that's why you keep watching to see this tension.
Favorite. We're doing a comedy today. So instead of a nitpick, give me a favorite laugh moment. When were you just like, my belly
I already
hurts?
said mine.
I think you said it to me.
No, I said it on
Oh, okay. You did.
This is Vincent Van Gogh.
Oh, yeah.
People
Yeah,
told him
that
that he
was
couldn't
funny.
paint because he only had one ear, and he said, I can't.
I'm trying to think of what mine was.
It's gotta make
Mine definitely was.
It's so good. I can't hear you.
That is funny.
It's like the Vincent Van Gogh F the haters. Like it's like
right.
that. Like,
Right.
go back.
Yeah, mine might
Also,
have been.
he did have one good working ear, but we'll ignore
Well,
that.
that's what's
why
great
it's funny.
about it is like you
yeah.
don't need your ear to paint.
Right.
You
But
can
I
have
mean-
one good working ear. Kai, he could have no ears and still paint.
No, I know,
true.
but I'm saying
He
they
can
can
hear
hear
you
him,
'cause he
or
still
he
had
can
one
hear
ear.
them because he does have one ear still.
I know that's
I know that's part of the fight. You know what?
it's so funny.
It's so funny.
Go,
What?
Brett.
Well, I mean, the obvious one is to say Steve Carell and Zach Galifianakis at the dinner, but I also loved Zach Galifianakis when they were in the IRS office. I just thought he was very funny there. As
I
well.
did
When he
love
takes off
the
his jacket and
idea-
his turtleneck is just
He's
like
got, like, the little
square.
Yeah, right. I did
That
love,
was really funny.
Yeah, I did love the idea of these two being IRS guys, and that like when Zach Galifianakis finally leaves the dinner, he's like, "You're all
Yeah.
being audited."
Yeah.
You know,
So,
it's fucked
but
up.
I have issues with the fact of Steve Carell's character being an IRS auditor. Like, because if he doesn't get social cues, how is he not just like randomly going on other people's computers and like messing up all of these like intricate tax things?
Well, those
Well,
are
we
two
don't know
different
exactly
things.
what he does either, though. Do we?
That's
Did he
true.
say
They
that?
don't say. No. Yeah. No, I don't think it
Also,
says.
technical versus social cues are two very different.
Yeah, like he
But
could
like
be
he goes on
very-
to he doesn't understand that he shouldn't go on someone else's computer is my point.
Yes.
And he
Okay,
just
I see
starts
what you're saying.
messaging whoever on
Yeah,
his
yeah,
So
yeah.
how
Right,
like
right,
how is
right.
he even able to operate?
Right.
Unless that's commentary on like our tax system is so effed and it's because they have idiots working there.
Yes,
No
that's
offense if you work
exactly-
at the IRS.
No, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
I pay my taxes swellly.
Mhm.
Swelly?
Mhm.
Swell.
Mhm.
I am
Don't look
swell.
at what I'm doing on TurboTax. I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what I'm doing. I saw this funny GIF the other day that was like, our government, you need to pay money for blah, 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 you know, and then us. Okay, how much do I owe? Government, you figure it out. Okay, I think that this is it, but can you just tell me if this is the correct number? Government, no, we cannot. And if you don't
Oh,
get it
yeah.
right, we're putting you in jail.
I've seen that
I was
floating
like,
around a
yeah,
few
that's,
times, yeah.
that's fucking exactly it. My favorite moment was, I mean, I mentioned that my favorite character earlier was the blind swordsman, but the moment when he turns off the
Oh my
light.
god, that was so
And
funny.
with his whole speech before it, and then just the one light over the painting goes off, and he's like,
that
"Ha
was
ha!"
so
And you're like,
funny.
Now
That was
you are in
great.
my world.
Now you are in my
Yeah.
world. I love that.
That was
That was
awesome.
great. Once again, Jay Roach. I do think his list is like solid fucking movies after solid
yeah.
movies.
I mean, not every movie is going to be great. Like,
Yeah.
I was going to say some people make bad movies, but there are some people
Look,
that don't
even
make bad
Michael
movies.
Jordan missed some shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
It happens.
Anyway, I don't think any of us are changing, are we?
Hell no, dog.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of Good, Bad, Bad, Good, or also listening, if you're not on YouTube watching us right now, let us know what you thought down in the comments or comments on Instagram or wherever you want to yell at us or talk to us. What did you think about this movie? I do feel like not a lot of people talk about it. And I do also know
that there are some people out there that are like, this is their favorite fucking movie. They own it on DVD, the super copy.
Tell me
and
if that's you.
Have posters.
Tell me if that's you.
We want to hear from you.
I have never heard someone say this is my favorite. I've never even heard someone mention this movie.
I had never heard of this movie until you mentioned it for this podcast.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Never seen it, never heard of it. I guess I have not lived.
Can
I say I have now? Yeah.
Now
I only remember it as the movie that bombed and everyone hated in 2010.
I was living out of a Jeep on the road in 2010 when this movie came out.
I was in college. So.
I had just graduated and then was a road bum. I didn't even have a cell phone. So I think there was a window of time where there were some movies that I just totally
Did you even
missed.
exist if you didn't have a cell phone?
I didn't exist. I was off the grid and off the face of the earth.
That sounds real shady. What kind of drugs were
I
you
mean,
doing?
in
What kind of
2010,
people
I
were you
didn't...
killing? Were you a super spy?
I was a super spy.
I think it's the opposite, Brian. But
I was a dirty hippie.
A Super Mario brother?
I was a
okay.
super
Anyway,
Mario
we digress.
brother.
You can find us on all social media at goodbad_badgood. You can find me on all social media at Travis_Orozco. You could find Kai at
Kylie and I on Instagram.
And Brian at
Boss up on Instagram, Fly Eagles Fly, baby.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and share our podcast with some friends of yours.
Yeah.
What if they don't have friends like me?
Then we're your friends and you should listen to us over and over and over.
Wait, but you're not my friends? You're our listeners' friends, but not my friends?
Wait,
That's
what?
sad.
Brian. Anyways, tune in next week where are we still doing it? Are we doing Spice World? Are we really doing Spice World?
Oh,
Wait,
is that
that's
next week?
what's coming next week?
That's next week.
Hell yeah, we're doing Spice.
Fuck yeah, we're
doing Spice World.
That's my choice, dog. We're not skipping that shit.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay.
I mean,
tune in next week when we watch Spice World and watch it before then. I don't know. It's
every boy and every girl.
until next time.
If you want to be
Bye.
Yeah, shake it to the right, perfect time to her, no, you feel fine.
Gotta really run. Zig-a-zag.
Good Bad Bad Good is an ex nihilo production. Original theme music and sound engineering done by Jen Star Hacker. Find her at hackersoundmusic.com. Opinions expressed are solely that of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views of any entity they represent.